While Biden and Harris have been impoverishing our country, they have been getting rich, very rich at your expense. Now, it just came out, just was reported today by a great young reporter, Brooke Singman at Fox, according to a 292-page report from the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means Committees in Congress. Just got out a little while ago, just before I got here. I said, no, I want to talk about it just briefly. It's so sad because he's going to be making his speech tonight, and they don't call him Crooked Joe for no reason. They said President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and defrauded the United States of America to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democrat benefactors, and they said that those loans have never been repaid. Those are the best kind of loans, aren't they? This report says in part that Vice President Biden actively participated in this conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with his family, foreign business partners, and speaking to them by phone, often being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden. Republicans are calling out a 2014 dinner that Hunter Biden and his family attended with a Russian oligarch, and they said that after that dinner, that oligarch wired $3.5 million to Hunter Biden's firm very quickly. It was a very quick wiring. I'm sure he worked very hard for the money. Several witnesses testified that Hunter Biden invoked his father in business dealings with Romanian, Chinese, Kazakhstani, and Ukrainian companies, in addition to other companies and people, resulting in millions and millions of dollars flowing into the Biden family. As everybody knows, $3.5 million was sent from the mayor of Moscow, the mayor of Moscow's wife. Remember, I brought that up in the debate I had. I said, why did this happen? And the anchor wouldn't let me ask that question. They thought it was inappropriate, but then it blew up. $3.5 million was sent by the mayor of Moscow's wife to the family.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the Biden crime family because the GOP just dropped a highly anticipated report as a result of the Biden impeachment inquiry that was launched probably over a year ago, okay, in connection with the Biden crime family's business dealings overseas, including James Biden and Hunter Biden, who were basically peddling influence on behalf of Joe Biden in order to get money, right? This is what they were doing. And there's lots of circumstantial evidence to point to Joe Biden being involved, okay? I mean, apparently this guy was showing up to meetings. He was on phone calls. He was definitely aware. And I believe that the American people know that. I mean, even the liberal media polls show that most Americans believe that Joe Biden was involved in Hunter Biden's business dealings, okay? And Hunter Biden should have registered as a foreign agent because he was acting as a foreign agent, okay? That is what he was doing. He actually really should be charged as well, too. He should be facing charges for that, but he's getting away with that because the Biden's Justice Department is trying their best to get Hunter Biden off. But anyways, the mainstream liberal media has been trying to gaslight people on this, trying to basically make it seem like this story is nothing more than Joe Biden loving his son, right? But it was much more than that. Joe Biden may have loved his son, but he was loving his son because his son was apparently bringing in millions of dollars using Joe Biden's name in overseas business transactions. And this report from the GOP outlines the details of what they found during their investigation and concludes that Joe Biden committed impeachable offenses, including defrauding the U.S. government by abusing his power as vice president in order to help his son get these business deals overseas that he otherwise would not have gotten unless he was using Joe Biden's influence, right? He was using Joe Biden's last name. And they also accused Joe Biden of obstruction when it comes to the investigation of Hunter Biden by the DOJ and the IRS. They accused the Biden administration of obstructing the investigation into Hunter in order to help him get off on lesser charges. And they also accused Joe Biden of obstructing when it comes to the GOP demanding that Merrick Garland release the audio tapes of Joe Biden's interview with the special counsel, Robert Hur, that was investigating Joe Biden for the classified document scandal, in which we all know that Joe Biden got off because apparently he's too old and senile to stand trial. So now we're here, okay? The GOP is releasing this report, and they are accusing Joe Biden of impeachable offenses. Now the question is, what comes next? And I'm here to burst you guys' bubble. This is why I'm not that excited to cover this story. Nothing is coming next, okay? Because the GOP is weak. I do not think that they will end up impeaching Joe Biden, although they are accusing Joe Biden of the same things that Democrats accused Trump of when they impeached him, I think back in 2019. Yeah, the Ukraine thing, okay? They accused Trump of abuse of power and obstruction, okay? And that's why they impeached him. Now, they're accusing Biden of the same thing, but yet the GOP doesn't have the cojones to do what Democrats did to Trump, but to do it to Joe Biden. So I want to react to this because I think that they're doing this for political reasons, mainly because Kamala Harris has become the nominee. But without further ado, let's get into it.
A Fox News alert, a brand new House GOP impeachment report finding that Joe Biden committed impeachable offenses that financially helped his family but hurt the country. The report states, quote, in certain circumstances, the president may be impeached for the actions of subordinate officials. The totality of the corrupt conduct uncovered by the committees is egregious. President Joe Biden conspired to commit influence peddling and grift. In doing so, he abused his office and by lying repeatedly about his abuse of office has defrauded the United States to enrich his family.
Pam Bondi is a former Florida attorney general and a Trump campaign surrogate, and she joins us now. Pam, good morning to you. So this report is coming out on the same day that Joe Biden is going to be passing the baton on over to Kamala Harris with a speech that he's giving tonight. But what do you think about the content in this report and where things go from here?
You know, Carly, much of it is shocking, but some is not surprising. You know,
well, I mean, it's not really shocking. I think everybody knew that this is what the Biden crime family was up to a long time ago. We knew when the laptop story first broke and the mainstream liberal media was covering it up, saying that it is a Russia hoax. The problem with the GOP right now is that they're really risking this story, which is a legitimate story, becoming the right's equivalent of the Russian collusion hoax, okay? That is what's happening if they do not move forward with impeachment. I think that they should move forward. Like, if you put out a report and you say, hey, Joe Biden committed impeachable offenses, then you should try to impeach him. And I'm going to go into more details later about when they should do this if they don't want to do it before the election.
Has done great reporting on this over the years, and it's really frightening for the American people because what this report says is while Joe Biden was vice president, his family, they were living a very lavish lifestyle, we all know, and they took $27 million from foreign individuals and foreign entities, 27 million. And then they said 8.5 million were in loans, yet there's no documentation of these loans, and none of the loans, of course, were ever repaid. So it dealt with countries like Ukraine, we all know, Romania, Kazakhstan, Russia, China. You know, it's very frightening for national security. And we also know that he took documents home while he was vice president, very sensitive classified documents that he had no legal right as vice president to do. So it's very troubling. And, you know, it's extremely dangerous for our national security and the American people.
Yeah, well, let's not forget he took those documents with the intent of showing them to his ghostwriter so that he could write a book and make millions of dollars off the book. That is what he did, right? He stole classified documents to make millions of dollars to enrich himself. But yet this man is not facing any charges for that. Again, it's insanity. It really is. It's insanity that Trump is facing all these charges, including having to stand trial for paying an adult actress hush money, okay, that has nothing really to do with the election, okay? And they had to finagle the law in New York in order to actually charge Trump, right? So this is what happens to Trump. But Joe Biden steals classified documents, get rich off of it. Like, we know that's what his intent was. We know why he did it, okay? And yet nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's frustrating. It really is.
Just wonder where it goes from here, because Republicans do not want to give Kamala the power of incumbency if they were able to ultimately impeach Joe Biden and get him out between now and, January, which does not.
Well, I mean, that's not going to happen. Even if they do end up impeaching him, he's not going to be found guilty in the Senate trial, right? Is no way. But if they did get Joe Biden out, I don't think it would be good for Kamala Harris to be in power. I think Joe Biden still being in power. And what I mean by in power, I mean in power in name only, because we really don't know who's in power, right? We know Kamala's not running anything. Joe's not running anything. Joe Biden's handlers, right? They're running things, I guess. But Joe Biden being in power in name only, I think benefits the Republicans because, honestly, Joe Biden, he's a representation of the current state of the Democrat Party, right? Just a shit show, to be quite honest with you. Joe Biden, when you see him, when he speaks, he's just not good, right? He's not good at all. And I think it's good for voters to see Joe Biden as the head of the Democrat Party, as a reminder of the failures of the Democrat Party. But if you replace him with Kamala Harris, then what happens is that now Kamala goes through this whole thing where she will be celebrated for being the first black woman president, the first woman president, the first Asian president, right? Like, we'll go through a bunch of this stuff, right, that will do nothing but help out Kamala Harris when it comes to name recognition. You guys have to remember, Trump has a major advantage over Kamala Harris right now in the sense that Kamala's name recognition is still not that great, okay? I mean, a lot of people still don't know who she is. And the last thing you want to do is to give Kamala more name recognition. So I think personally, it's probably best for Republicans to steer clear of trying to get rid of Joe Biden right now. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't try to get rid of Joe Biden later, okay? Especially after the election, okay? They definitely should, because Democrats set the precedent that, hey, you can impeach a president after he's out of office, right? I guess as long as you start the impeachment process before he leaves office, right, you can still hold a trial and do all that stuff. I think they should definitely do that at the very least after the election, because that would add more legitimacy to the claims from the GOP and that, hey, Joe Biden was in fact impeached. And also on top of that, it will take away what is currently stopping the GOP from successfully impeaching Joe Biden, which is the so-called moderate Republicans basically saying, well, I don't really want to vote to impeach Joe Biden because there might be backlash in my district, right? I might lose my close district race because of the GOP deciding to impeach Joe Biden, right? So that's why I think ultimately they're going to leave it alone, at least until the election. But I think after the election, they definitely should impeach Joe Biden. I doubt that they will, but they definitely should. If you're going to put out a report claiming that he committed impeachable offenses, then you should hold him accountable for that, which is what Democrats would do. That's exactly what Democrats do. So Republicans should do the same thing and at the very least show Democrats that, hey, you can't just weaponize the impeachment process to smear your political opponent for small, frivolous things, okay, because it can be used against you, right? Until Republicans actually start to give Democrats a taste of their own medicine, Democrats are going to continue to abuse Republicans. And that's the thing that really disappoints me about Republicans the most, is that they're weak, right? They're very, very, very weak when it comes to making Democrats pay for the precedents that they set, okay? They set a precedent when it comes to frivolous impeachment. So therefore, they need a taste of their own medicine so that they know, hey, let's not do this again in the future, because they did a whole lot of things under Trump that they're now going to normalize because, hey, well, we did it to Trump. Well, we can do it to the next Republican. Again, especially if Trump wins, So I definitely think that Republicans should not back off. I think that they should legitimize their claims by having Joe Biden formally impeached, and they should do it after the election so that the so-called moderates can't boo-hoo, whine, and cry and say, oh, we're going to lose our race for doing this. No. If you don't get on board with it, then you'll be primary. It's really that simple. Because, again, Democrats stick together when it comes to this type of stuff. They don't care about the so-called moderates losing, okay? They justify it by saying, hey, Trump bad, right? Therefore, we can do whatever we want. And they don't even worry about the backlash. It's just funny how that works. Republicans, though, they pretend like it's going to hurt them to hold the Democrats accountable. It doesn't make sense. So with that being said, we'll see what the GOP does. I'm not getting my hopes up. I personally think that Joe Biden should be impeached, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.